Hello, 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 and good morning wherever you are joining me from. It could be good afternoon or even good evening, depending on where you are on this big, beautiful, and messy world. I am Carol C.C. Miller, your positive life strategist, peace activator, and global hugger, coming to you with another episode of Embrace Your Life Chats, where the intention and attention is to help heighten celebrations and lessen sorrows through a positive focus. I have been doing this kind of coaching work, founded Positive Focus well over a decade ago now. We're getting closer to the 15-year mark. So I just want people to know that even though I live, breathe, speak right about positivity, love, kindness, compassion, and peace, I'm not that all of the time. I think some people feel to be positive, you're pretending life is wonderful when you're going through a hard time as well. So that is what I am here to help with, is to heighten celebrations and lessen sorrows. Join me in comments. Let me know where you're joining me from, and also let me know if you're a newbie to my work. I'm going to say a couple of things before we get into today's topic because I like people to know a little bit about where I'm coming from on my discussion. So, Jacqueline, good to see you here. Um, Tenzil from Bangladesh. Good to see you here as well. Actually, Tenzil, I just saw that Bangladesh was a question on Jeopardy that made this person who had been playing for a long time lose to that question. Don't know why I'm saying I don't watch Jeopardy. It's way above my abilities, but I thought it was interesting that you mentioned Bangladesh, and I just saw Bangladesh today. So, again, thank you for joining me. Let me know where you're joining me from. I am currently on the Gulf Coast, although I live in Chicago. So, that is where I'm at. It's a beautiful day here. I hope wherever you're at, you're finding it to be a beautiful day as well. So, the couple things I like to mention before we get into today's topic is one, I'm not an absolutist. I'm not a fan of always, never, right, wrong, good or bad. There are 7 billion people on this planet. I can't begin to say what is right for 7 billion people. I can, for myself, focus on the majority of the time, and that's what I do personally and professionally. So my scale's 0 to 100. 0, always negative, 100, always positive. My guess is you know people in your life who are closer to the 0 and closer to the 100, but I suspect you don't know anybody at 0 or at 100. So I work on the majority. So my personal work is to be 80 to 100% of the time loving, kind, compassionate, peaceful, positive. So, what does that mean? Negativity visits me on a daily basis. Frustration, fear, disappointment, unworthiness, anger, all of our normal feelings that we go through, they visit me, but because of my daily practices, I just don't stay there as long. Of course, it depends on what's going on. Sometimes it's just a nanosecond change and shifting into what I want to be, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer depending on the situation. So, no, it's not a right or wrong on how you process those heavier feelings. It's what you want to do to feel a little bit better. Secondly, I am a coach. I love supporting people in growing their vision and working with individuals and some businesses to grow what they're wanting to be in their life and in the world. I am not a counselor nor am I a therapist. And sometimes you need that type of support in order to live your best life. I believe you're worthy of living your best life. So whether it's a coach, me, someone else, whether it is a counselor, a therapist, a best friend, somebody in the clergy to help support you in your best life, I encourage you to come up with that support system to work for you. I'm going to check in on comments really quick. Then I'm going to go to our topic for the day. Then I'll come back to the comments because if I stay in comments too long, I will totally forget what I want to talk about today. So, Ralph is here from LA. Ethiopia is in the house. I'm at, about a 75. Ralph, that's awesome. And I suspect it changes. Like if you're at a 75 all the time, that's great. But my guess is you probably have moments too where you slip below that 75. So it's good to stay aware of how you're feeling. I'm just starting to recognize my gift. I need help moving this forward. Excellent, Chris. And Reby is in the house from New York. It's one of the things I really love about this community is generally when I come on here live, there's people from all over the world. So I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. And if you were here yesterday, We talked about the power of the words thank you. So if you were here yesterday, I would love to know in comments if you have practiced saying thank you. And you can go back on the feed and find yesterday's conversation too if you want to see what that was all about. But today we're here to talk about somebody brought this up in the community last week. I need to get better about writing down the names of the people who bring these conversations up because I want to thank them for it. I think it was Lisa, but I'm not sure. And it's a tricky conversation because it can um, we'll just get into it. It was one that I thought hard about because it's certainly a word that I think about in my own world. Again, remember, I am a word sensitive person, so things hit me harder than other people when it's said to me. So you just need to know who you are and how things land on you to know if they intentionally made it to be harmful or if because your word's sensitive, you took it as harmful. So it's something to pay attention to there. Okay, Linda is here from Lawrence, South Carolina. Okay, I got to stay out of comments for a second to get into this conversation here. So today's word that I picked, well, it was actually mentioned from the community last week, is dealing with sarcastic people. How do you deal with sarcastic people was the question. So today's word, if you've been here before, I like to come up with the word we're going to talk about, use the definition, make an affirmation around it, and then some tips to work with it and how to move through it if it's something that we find challenging. Challenging, we I'm going to actually say the word all, even though there may be a couple of people in this world who've never faced challenges. The vast majority of us have. So it's to help you move through your challenges. It's to help heighten your celebrations and help lessen your sorrows. So the word that we're going to work with today is sarcasm. And the definition is a sharp and often satirical or ironic utterance designed to cut or give pain, marked by or given to use irony in order to mock or convey contempt. I'm going to say this one again because a lot of people use sarcasm because it's funny. They think of it as humor, and it is humorous, but is it harmful humor? And we're going to talk about that because it's not a 0 to 100 situation. It's kind of where does it fall on the scale for you personally? And so we're going to get into that, but I do want to mention the definition again. A sharp and often satirical or ironic utterance designed to cut or give pain, by or given to use irony in order to mock or convey contempt. I would also add this is not part of the actual definition, but it's kind of a way to hide from your feelings too. It's easy to kind of get smart alecky and sarcastic about something rather than dealing with why that's impacting you and that you have to send it out that way. So that's something to think about. So the affirmation that we're going to use today, and again, if you're not familiar with affirmations, it's just a statement. It's not a positive or negative. Could be positive or it could be negative, but it's a statement that you are saying. And the more you say it, you're more affirming it for yourself. So I encourage you to use positive affirmations because I think if you really looked at your personal self talk, you would realize you have an awful lot of negative things you're affirming for yourself without even being aware of it. So, the more you're aware of it, then that's where you can make those shifts. That is what affirmations are for, is to shift you out of those old negative self patterns of talk that we've had for years. Maybe it's from parents, maybe it's from teachers, maybe it was from friends, and it could have all been from people who were meaning well, but we took it hard. So it doesn't necessarily mean that people were saying horrible things about you, but you took it as I'm not enough. So that's where the affirmations come in, is to help you realize you are enough. So today's affirmation is I choose to think, speak, hear, and act from a space of love. Again, I choose to think, speak, hear, and act from a space of love. So when you are speaking out, you're speaking from a space of love. When you are hearing information back to you, you are hearing it from a space of love. So what does that mean? If somebody's saying harmful things to you, it's not condoning it, it's not saying it's okay, but from the space of love is the compassion end of it, where you're hearing their hurt that is now coming at you. So again, it's not saying what they're saying to you or doing is okay, but you're able to hear behind the action of the words that they're using. I cannot state enough that that's not giving people permission to treat you poorly. It is, for me, being able to see perhaps the why they are treating me this way rather than internalizing it and taking it personally, which I can do. I can easily take things personally. And then I step back and look at the why. Is it what was behind the words that they said this? Where are they coming from? So again, the affirmation is I choose to think, speak, hear, and act from a space of love. So again, sarcasm, it can be lighthearted, so it's not necessarily harming anyone. That could be, um, I don't even have examples for it. Well, like an example is maybe you just cooked a meal for somebody and they say, well, that was really good in a way that you know that they really didn't like it. So instead of saying it in a honest, I don't even know how you tell somebody you don't like the meal that they cook for you. Probably just be quiet. But they do it in a kind of sarcastic tone, so it doesn't seem so biting in that respect. Then there's the sarcasm, goodness, that is truly attacking and harmful and hurtful. So you need to pay attention to where that lands on you and what you might want to do with it. I know when the community member mentioned it last week, it was how to deal with sarcasm. So that's what we're going to deal with mostly. But it's also, I really encourage you to think about how do you use sarcasm. I have a couple of really good friends. One of them, her license plates is sarcasm. So I would say the two friends that I'm thinking of right now, they use it in a more gentle way. I've never felt hurt by anything they have said. They say it just about in general in life. I've never heard them use sarcasm intentionally to hurt anyone. So I would say they are on the mild side of it. And yet, if you go back to the definition, it's utterance designed to cut or give pain, marked by or given to use as irony or to mock or convey contempt. So I don't know that sarcasm, I used to be a sarcastic, well, not fully sarcastic, but that was definitely a go to self protection mechanism for me. And I will use that as an example in a moment. But what I want you to keep in mind when you're dealing with sarcasm is to ask yourself, who is it coming from? Like when I hear these two friends that I'm thinking of, I know they're both loving people and that's their sense of humor. I do think it's still hiding something behind that they either don't want to express or whatever, which is fine. It's not about always expressing everything that your heart is thinking, but I do know them to know that whatever they say is not harmful to me. Because I know that anything they have said does not harm me, it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't impact me because I know them. Now, I've known other people who their sarcasm is a bit more biting. And if it's somebody who is close to you in your life, I would encourage you for, first of all, is to just say thank you. Like if they're saying something about you, thank you, because they really are trying to get a rise out of you if they're trying to use it in that manner. So just say thank you. But if it's something that's really impacting you and hurting you, again, you need to judge the relationship style with them. If it's somebody close and they do it to you a lot, I would encourage you to say, if you're comfortable saying it, I know you're trying to be funny, but that hurts my feelings, or something like that. Now, you need to be prepared for people who have, that tough skin and that they may think you're being oversensitive, and you've got to be okay with that because you be you and own who you are and own your feelings and own your worth and own your value and let them see what they need to see. Now, if it's somebody who is really close to you and has the capacity, who has some emotional intelligence, and there's a lot of people, emotions are scary. So a lot of people don't focus on how they feel. They pretend things are okay and move through the world. I used to be one of those who pretended the world was wonderful and I was okay. And so people who aren't willing or ready to be emotionally intelligent, they're going to be the ones who may see you as being oversensitive. The ones who are able to see that, even if they're not oversensitive, they will be able to see it from your vantage point and they will lessen talking to you that way. It may take time, especially if that's their go-to method, but they will now understand that that really does hurt you, even though that wasn't their intent. I Sometimes just saying thank you is the best way to do it because you are de-escalating what they're trying to get. They're trying to get you to come back at them with something else because they like that kind of sarcastic banter. If you like that kind of banter, then go for it. Again, I encourage you to remember what the definition of sarcasm is. And then if it's a stranger, like you get, in the car, somebody's like, "You idiot for driving this way," or not using your blinker or whatever, or that's even calling names is not non-impactful. I don't mean it that way, but it's not as hard. Some strangers, especially online, can be incredibly harsh and incredibly hurtful and incredibly harmful. But I would say for them, because you don't know them, try not to take what they say internally and bring that into you. And know for people to speak in that manner or type in that manner on social media, there's something within them that is hurting. People who feel healthy, who feel loved, who feel whole, even if there's something out there that they don't like, they don't attack because they don't feel threatened. People who attack feel threatened in some way. So I would encourage you to let those type of comments go. Maybe just in your head, send them some love and hope that they find some peace within themselves so they aren't harming others with their words or their actions. I really fully believe, and not saying I'm right, but this is my belief that people who feel seen and feel heard in this world are far less likely to harm themselves or others. Now, with that said, there's a lot of people in this world who are hurting for a variety of reasons and don't harm others. So it's not every single person, but I'm pretty sure the vast majority of people who do harm others, if you look into their experience of the why, you will find hurt people inside of them who have not healed their own wounds. So they are creating wounds for other people. So think about that. And then ask yourself, are you laughing along with them? Because again, even though the definition of sarcasm is, let me go back, I want to say it correctly here: sharp, often satirical or ironic utterance designed to cut or give pain. That is the definition. you know, Laughing at ourselves, humor is one of my go tos on feeling better. So when you're able to laugh at yourself and laugh like with a good friend and you're laughing at yourself or you're laughing at your friend, if you're laughing along with them, I would let it go and be okay with it. But if you're not laughing with them, that's when you want to ask yourself, if is it something that they're close to you and how you want to handle it. So again, I would go back to the just saying thank you, try that one. And then if there's somebody who is consistently doing it, then to approach them on the fact that I know your intent is not to harm me, but this really hurt my feelings. And if there are people that their attempt is or their intent is to make you feel bad, then I would encourage you to lessen your time with them. Do not take what they have to say as your truth. That might be their truth because they are coming from hurt, but don't own it. That's where you want to go into observing their behavior rather than absorbing their behavior. And that takes practice. When somebody's coming at you and saying not nice things to you, it's easy to absorb them, but you still want to practice it. And again, remember, just because that's on them. I'm not saying that gives them the okay to say those things. I'm just asking you not to own what they're saying. They're probably coming from some deep pain and they are spewing their pain on other people. And when you're in that kind of pain, the spewing at that moment might feel good because you're sharing that pain. But later on, I promise you, if it's probably not something that they're feeling good about with themselves. We're talking the majority of the time. I know that there are going to be people who live outside of that scope. So that's what I want to make sure to say is this is the majority of the time. And sarcasm can be used as laughter reasons. You just need to know when is it cross that line between being funny and harmful. The definition of it is harm. So it's that's why it was such a difficult conversation for me to even think about how to approach, because sarcasm in itself, the definition is on the pain and the harm, but it's wrapped up in humor so you can say it and not feel as bad about what you're saying to somebody. And that's the example I was going to give you years ago. It's been years because of my self practices and the work I've done. But again, I'm a word sensitive person. My feelings, especially years ago, got hurt pretty easily. My feelings can still get hurt. And I asked myself, what was the intention behind it? Am I taking it hard because of who I am? Or did they mean it hard because of who they are? And I can tell the difference. So sometimes I know it's just like I took it hard because of who I am, and I work on letting that go. But I used to say if somebody hurt my feelings, and this is passive aggressive, this is totally trying to be funny, even though I'm hurt, was I would say, my feelings would be hurt if I respected your opinion. That's totally ignoring the situation. Would get a laugh out of people. I laughed about it, but it truly was negating the fact that what they just said to me hurt. And it also negated the fact for them to realize, because I said it in a sarcastic, satirical way. So they probably took it more as I thought it was funny too, which I didn't. My feelings were hurt by it. Doesn't mean every person who hurts your feelings, you need to go into a deep conversation about it, but it does mean know how you feel so you can move forward with either talking to them about it, lessening your time with them, working through it, knowing you're taking it that way and that wasn't their intention. There really isn't a one way to go through it. And so do what feels best for you, but just be aware. I think I say this most every time we're here together is when you're in awareness, then you have the opportunity to change. You can either stay doing what you're doing because you feel good about it, or if you're not feeling good about it because you're aware that it doesn't feel good, you can shift and move to feeling a little bit better. When you're in awareness, you are in the driver's seat of your life. When you're on autopilot, life is living you and leading you down the path of life. So I encourage you to stay in awareness. And then lastly, again, this conversation was more about how to handle sarcastic people. If you're one of them and you find sarcasm as humorous and funny, I would just encourage you to ask yourself what's behind that for you. Not telling you not to use it if that's your mode. And I want to also preference that true comedians, that's a whole different ballgame. Some of them, that's their whole shtick is to be mean, and they can say funny things, and that's their livelihood, and you can choose to pay to see them, or you could choose that that type of humor isn't for you. There's a lot of comics who do it really well, and I've laughed at it, and then I've also thought at the same time that was really mean, but that's their job. So I don't even like to include them in the conversation, if that makes sense. But do encourage you to ask yourself when you're saying things that you know are sarcastic, why? What are you wanting to get out of it? Is it funny because it's a little bit more lighthearted, even though we've just gone over the discussion or the definition? But just ask yourself, am I hiding behind something and I'm saying it in a funny manner because it's a self-preservation? Just like my feelings would be hurt if I respected your opinion. That was easy to say. That and that was actually not nice to say because I'm now telling that person I don't respect you, but it was easier to say than that hurt my feelings kind of thing. So it's really about asking yourself how you feel when you're speaking and asking yourself how you feel when you're receiving information too. So I hope that made sense. Sarcasm has been something I've thought about for a long time to address. And then when somebody brought it up last week, I'm like, okay, we're going for it. I don't know how it's going to be received, but let me just one more time go over the definition, and then you get to choose how you move forward with it. If sarcasm doesn't bother you, then go with it. If sarcasm does bother you, maybe try some of these tips that I've given you today to work through it, to know that the majority of people who use sarcasm, then they're just sharing their own pain and masking it with a funny yet not nice statement. So, sarcasm, a sharp and often satirical or ironic utterance designed to cut or give pain, marked by or given to using irony in order to mock or convey contempt. Remember, I'm not an always or never person, so I'm not going to say always use sarcasm or never use sarcasm. I am asking you to think about it when you do use it and think about it when you hear it. So now I'm going to come into comments and see here. And please, also, if you have comments on something else you would like to have me bring a little bit more love, kindness, compassion, and peace to the conversation, add it in comments. I will come back later today and check as well because sometimes I don't see all the comments while I'm live. And if it's a topic that I feel comfortable talking about, I will. As you can tell, this one here, sarcasm, I wasn't necessarily comfortable, but I did think it was worthy of a conversation. So let me go here. I already said hello to Ralph. I think that's Erica. It's somebody in my Embrace Your Life community that I don't see their name. Hollywood makes zillions off of sarcasm satire. Ralph, that is so true. And again, a lot of people like it because it is laced in humor. But if you look at the words behind it, it's also often laced in unkindness. So I just encourage everybody to think about where they're spending their time. If you're I don't like those kinds of movies. I used to laugh along with them when they were making fun of people because that person, like, it's a movie. Who cares if they're making fun of people in a fictional make believe world? But that's also something that's out in the world. So I don't find things funny when they're making fun of people, of any variety of type people. I'm word sensitive, so it does hit me, lands on me harder than other people. Some people can see it as fiction and it doesn't bother them. I'm a big believer in what I focus on and give attention to. I'm allowing that to grow. So if I'm watching a lot of movies that are sarcastic and picking on people, I'm bringing that energy into me, whether it's fact or fiction. So that's for me. And again, any of these Embrace Your Life chats, I want you to take away what works for you. I'm just sharing what works for me, giving you options of what works for me. And if it works for you, all the better. There's not a right or wrong way to go about life. There's just many different paths here. Great message. Went to a chamber event last night. So much commission there. So nice to be in a place of love and acceptance. Coming from very sarcastic family, we sometimes revert to old habits. Luckily, there's usually someone who corrects us. And yeah, again, sarcasm can very well be a pattern, and any of our patterns, positive patterns, negative patterns, healthy, unhealthy patterns, generally speaking, takes some practice to shift the way we were doing it. I'm not going to say always. Maybe some of you can say, oh, I've been sarcastic a lot lately. I'm not going to do that anymore and shift immediately. I used to use that type of humor. It's been over a decade, but I still revert to it every now and then. And even that statement of that would hurt my feelings if I respected your opinion, that pops into my head on occasion. I don't share it anymore, but it's still there for me to go to. And then I think, oh, that really did land harder, and I'm trying to ignore it. So it's about feeling my feelings and moving forward. Um, Give them a taste of the cancel culture. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. I'm not going to go into the cancel culture, but yes, not everyone does deserve a seat at your table. And Ralph, I think you're new for me, or it's the first time I've recognized your name. So if you've been here longer, thank you. And I apologize for just now seeing your name. But my thing is, I unconditionally love everyone as a human being, as being here as part of this big 7 billion collective. My conditions come on my participation. So I can love you, but some people I have to love from afar. Some people I can love close up, but some people I don't have a relationship with them, because if we are in each other's lives, I'm not coming from a space of love. So my participation is where my requirements step in. I can still love you. So like those people, Ralph, you're talking about who don't deserve a spot at your table. Somebody may not be at my table, but I can still love them. But I know I can love them better because they're not at my table. So I hope that makes sense. Um, and sometimes I can't see these comments, so it kind of drives me a little crazy. I think I've seen everyone's comments here. Yeah, Linda, I do think people like it because it's crazy and things, but I also think it's because people tend to not want to really address what's going on internally. And I was one of those people before I started Positive Focus. If you would have met me 15 years ago, I would have told you just be happy. Life is good. And if you were in a hard place, and trust me, I have had before 15 years ago, I had hard places in my life. I just ignored them because they hurt, they didn't feel good, they were awkward, whatever the reason. I pretended they weren't there and I was just happy. So, if you're ready and willing to take a little deeper dive, and I'm still not great at some of it, you can ask some of my friends on vulnerability with me. But it really is about asking yourself, how does this feel? How do I want to feel? And how do I want to move forward in my life? It's easy when things are going well to ignore and just see all of that, but it's about paying attention, being aware of how you feel, and move forward from there. It's not about getting it right all the time. I certainly don't get it right all the time, but I do get it right the majority of the time. And when I mean right for me, the majority of the time because of my daily practices. Sarcasm lands on me harder than a lot of people. Even my friends who use it, like I don't tell them never to use it because that is their mode. But I'm not a fan of it. It just does not work for me. Sometimes I'll laugh because if it's the gosh, because of now knowing the actual definition of sarcasm, I'm not sure I can even say the gentle kind, but the more light-hearted versions of it, where I know there's not an intention to harm, I have certainly laughed at it. But because of my daily practices of staying in a space of kindness, the majority of the time, it definitely hits me harder than other people. I don't think if I miss anybody's questions or comments, I'm sorry, and I will absolutely look back later. I think sometimes once I hit the end broadcast, I can then see more comments too. So let me know if you have any comments, and please, if you have any other ideas on what you would like me to talk about. I do know a community member asked for me to discuss how to deal with negativity, and we will cover that next week. I'm here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 11:30 Chicago time. So thank you for being here with me. I hope this helps some way in you being a little bit more gentle with yourself and gentler with other people. Think about what you're thinking. Think about your thoughts, your words, and actions before you do them. Is it going to uplift yourself and uplift others, or is it going to harm yourself and harm others? So it's a practice, it's a daily practice, and I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to use the words thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you from yesterday's broadcast. And again, I don't see anybody who has commented about whether or not they did that yesterday or not, but I do encourage you to go back and look at yesterday's because thank you are such powerful words to use. You can use them when you're happy, you can use them when you're sad because it just shifts you into a better feeling, emotion, and energy. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate this community where we are focusing on what we want rather than what we don't want. Doesn't mean the don't wants aren't here. I have them as well, but I give my attention and intention to what I do want. I'm not ignoring what I don't want because then it's just going to come back and chat with me later because our hurts, our all of the things, our worries, our fears, all of that wants to be heard. It wants to be acknowledged and be loved. So when you're in that space, just be kind to yourself and say, we're going to get through this together. Be gentle, be kind, be loving, be compassionate, and be peaceful. So I will see you on Tuesday. Not sure what the topic is. It might be on dealing with negativity. It might be something else, but it certainly will be about heightening celebrations and lessening sorrows through a positive focus. So go out there and have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. I hope you find a lot more love in your world than the mess that is in the world, and take care of yourselves. And remember, you matter. You matter to me. You matter to the world. And most importantly, you matter to you. So long for now.